How are we starting it?
I ask myself that question every time I wake up in the morning. Well, this is going to be an hour dedicated solely to a really good microphone. That's it. So bail now, everyone. That's our big episode intro this week. Please leave, the majority of you. That's because this is going to be, no, just kidding. But you do have a plug that you were going to talk about, right?
So yeah, starting off this week, I wanted to give a quick shout out to my friend Joe Pollock from the Cut the Bullshit podcasting group run by my buddy Jeremy Enns. I bought a product and asked for some advice, and someone made a joke saying like, oh, you should make an unboxing video because everyone makes those. And I was like, this isn't a joke, bro. Like, I'm going to do it. And I did it, and people liked it, and they were requesting more.
Like a surprisingly large amount of people, right?
I mean, not large, but you know, the people that I know enjoyed it. Some people went out and bought the thing.
So you wouldn't go as far to say as large, but large or medium?
It was sub-viral. I can say that.
Sub-viral.
Right.
Ooh, okay. I can honestly say I've never heard that before, but I like it.
Trailblazers.
That's right. By the way, folks, if you're thinking we're kidding, buckle in. It's going to be very audio related for the next 97 minutes.
Yeah. So they said that I wouldn't do a full hour just on this product. So buckle in, lock the doors. We're doing the damn thing. But no, seriously.
Yeah. Protect yourself from intruders because it's about to go wild. You're going to feel as uncomfortable as the time you watched the Scientology documentary on HBO. Because that shit was weird and creepy and very unsettling. It was the worst experience of my life, but also very eye-opening.
But no, we're not going to do that. I just wanted to give some love to those ladies and gentlemen over on that group because I have a lot of fun there with all them.
Are you bamboozling me, you son of a bitch?
I am using the, oh God, I don't even know what brand, little swing arm, some people call it, scissor, boom, like the pros. I feel good about it. It's I don't have anything in my chair. You might be able to hear less audible knocking around, and I'm excited. And also, I wanted to quickly mention, if you didn't hear earlier, the homie's name who doubted me, his name is Joe Pollock, and most of our listeners will know we already have a Matt Pollock in the group. And I don't know if we have room for two Pollocks. Yeah,
somebody's got to go.
Do they fight to the death?
Which is a suggestion you bring to the table at a disturbing rate. But we might be able to work around it without resorting to homicide. But, hey, we'll talk about it. We'll put it in the show notes. We'll put a poll.
We'll run a poll.
Yeah, we'll run at _reminiscent FM. That's the worst of our Twitter teases that we've done in the past 2 years. But no, yeah, that was just something that was getting it out of the way there, right? Are we covered? We can go to the show?
Well, let me ask you, for anyone from that group that is listening, I'm recording on the Shure SM7B. What are you recording on, Pat?
I believe it's called a Yeti.
Yes, a Blue Yeti. And what is
That's
behind...
the extent of my knowledge. Well, I'll describe the scene. I'm on my fiance's dresser, and there's a shirt, and then 4 books, 2 stacks of 2, and 2 more shirts, and then the foamy part of the shit you sent me 2 years ago when you said, we're doing it. And I was like, what? Have we discussed this? And then there's a sweater on top of that, making a little soft cove for the Yeti. And then there's my thickest book holding a hanger with like a Dollar Tree nylon over it as a pop screen. And this is a very, it's been, tested, on and off with the help of some of my audio expert friends that I have, AKA Tom, who has been begging me to talk into the right side of the microphone for months. But yeah, no, it's a Yeti.
Sweet. We'll put a picture in the show notes because I think your setup, I've beat that thing to death for sure. But the setup is rather impressive for just being a literal stack of books stuffed with t-shirts. Where are our show notes? elemental.fm/reminiscent/61.
71.
Did I say 61?
Yeah, dude.
Oh my God. 71.
Time flies.
/71.
I know. 71, the episode where we bull rush through like 9 bits we've been thinking about doing for a month. So this is the part where I guess you could buckle in or bail. I would actually advise bailing now. The audio stuff might have been more interesting. But we're going to do, well, you want to knock out a quick Drunken Millennial before we get to the other two that we wanted to just knock out real quick?
That's up to you. I can play the audio whenever you want me to.
Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll try it now.
And now for Drunken Nostalgic Millennial.
You remember the mashup of Wonderwall and the Boulevard of Broken Dreams? It was pretty good. It was all right.
That was Drunken Nostalgic Millennial. Awesome.
That's it. Okay. And now we're going to do go to our sister station up in Toronto for a snippet from their show called Oh Canada. And it goes a little something like this. I'm over here speaking the Queen's English, and I'm watching some hockey, as a good Canadian does, and Mountie passes. I say hello, and he's like, you haven't been to Nova Scotia. I'm like, I grew up in Vancouver. I'm like, you out your bloody f***ing mind, man.
Oh, what a f***ing idiot.
I'm saying, are you mental? Are you bloody mental, bruv? You got to be out your f***ing mind.
Bloody hell.
Anyway, it's cold. I saw moose, and yeah, that's it. That's it for today, folks. And that was a snippet of Oh Canada, a Canadian talk show that we have been workshopping for far longer than you probably would have guessed based on the last 15 seconds of audio. God save the Queen, of course. And then this is, if you listen to the show, you know we meditate every once in a while just to find our centers, as Tom likes to say, and we just probably think it's healthy. So we're going to do another one of those before we proceed with the show. And Tom, I guess I would ask you to just kind of sit on the floor and you feel the weight of your hips and feel every toe and every finger, and your eyelids are not heavy, but you can feel them shutting, and you take stock of almost every cell in your body and you envision yourself in this field. And after you take a big exhale out of your nose, you just are one with every possible movement of every atom around you in this open field as the breeze comes flowing past you.
And as you sit there, you are so fucking centered. And then
the Chinese space station crushes you where you're sitting. The odds of that happening are very low, of course. But yeah, it happened and you're dead now. So perhaps the most centered you could have possibly asked for. So I guess it worked. There you go. That's meditation.
I feel so calm.
Yeah, and the burden of existence is no, just kidding. But that is easily the shortest version of that segment we've had, because we usually drag that on for, several minutes, plural. Yeah.
Life is pain, man.
Anyway, there you go. Check out any number of past episodes for full meditation segments if you feel you've been robbed, but there are good chances you do not feel much if you're still with us. Anyway, we've gotten our pre-show checklist has been crossed. Tom, how are you?
Oh, I'm okay, man. I feel like it's been forever. We recorded early last week and late this week, and I feel like we went, if not a year or more, several months without talking when we were both in college, and now 9 days feels like a lot, and that makes me happy.
Yeah, me same. Was that the Sunday we did 2 Sundays ago?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. So it has been long, because this is later in the week. We're on a Wednesday tonight. And I feel proud and happy that you delayed to get good sleep. I feel like good for you. You adult.
Yeah, I've been a sleepy boy. My music recommendation from...
Indeed you have. And
my music recommendation from a few weeks ago, my buddy AJ, who plays in Bogues, they were on tour in Fort Collins, which is like 80 minutes north of where I live. Drove up
Colorado
there
State, right?
Maybe.
I think I'm going to a wedding there later this year. Anyway, they were Colorado State alums, so I believe that's where the campus is.
Gotcha. Okay. That's also where Joe Pollock lives. He almost went to that show, and we would have
sword fought, but using the mics you vouch for.
Well,
is that how audio street stuff works? I'd like to believe that's how it works, even though I'm fairly certain it's not, I guess.
But actually, I've been in a lot of different podcasting groups, like 7 or 8, and I'm only in 2 now because the others were just, oh God, Pat, they were insufferable. But this one that my buddy Jeremy started is actually a ton of fun. If I were on the verge of getting rid of Facebook, which some days it feels like it, that group would keep me there, man. Really would.
Yeah, what sucks is the pros. And again, I say this every week. It's like, Pat, we get it. You got rid of Facebook. It's like, I think everyone should get rid of Facebook. You know, it's like, all right.
And announce it before they
Yeah,
go.
exactly. It's like, you pretentious f***. Like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, you're missing out on one of the most powerful networking tools, other than LinkedIn, obviously, of the last century.
Right. Crushing it.
So that's kind of the hard part, right? Is it's so powerful when you can organize a class reunion in like an hour, right? If you had to, maybe 36 hours, like maybe a day and a half, and you'd have everything set and everyone would know about it. And I think that's probably what's hard for people. But anyway, that's cool. I'm happy for you, and I'm glad.
Yeah.
Because you aren't boxing anymore. You're not at the boxing gym. So it's good to see that you have, a sense of community in your new town. You should do a meetup. You should do an audio meetup.
I think there's only one guy, and it's Joe.
Okay. If you sword fight, you sword fight. God, Tom, let it go. It's not that I'm the one. I'm the one that wants to see it. So
there's a couple just small things I wanted to talk about.
And for those who are tuning in for the first, usually we go to this stuff first, but
right.
Yeah.
So we did previous episodes about Finance Boy. And
Indeed.
I had some updates from my own.
This is the first episode where Sleepy Boy, I think, makes an appearance.
I'm a sleepy finance boy.
Ooh, wow.
So if any venture capitalists and investors are listening, you're in the right place. We are about to talk about the stock market.
Yeah. Dear Gimlet Media, check it out. I'm on the scene now, so.
Dear Zach Braff.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, okay, I'm just going to get my song of the week out of the way right now, speaking of Zach Braff. He was on Dax Shepard's podcast, and you have to listen to it, or you don't. Either you don't give a shit at all about that happening, but you didn't know who Dax Shepard is or was.
Nope.
Or is. He's Kristen Bell's husband. He was in like Zathura and the remake of Chips and not Logan Lucky. Man, I guess it's kind of hard to describe if you don't just know who he is through Kristen Bell. But they are easily the most similar-looking white male actors in Hollywood, I would venture to say. It's kind of like Zooey Deschanel and Katy Perry, but less impressive or something. But I don't say that in a weird way because I love Scrubs and I think they're both funny individuals. But they go on the podcast and they just kind of talk for a while about how weird it is to be looking at your doppelganger across the table and kind of how they've been confused for each other several times in Hollywood. And people will go up to Dax Shepard a lot and be like, oh, I love Scrubs. And be like, all right. Yeah, but that's my song of the week is to listen to that podcast. So I'm getting that out of the way right now. If that is an interest of yours at all, it's worth it. If not, that's fine. I don't really care. But I thought it was great.
I just Googled him. Yeah, I know who that is.
They did a face swap. And
wow.
We should put this in the show notes.
Wow.
Zach Braff tweeted out their face swap. It is just, I think it was on the front page of Reddit today, but it was just so lovely on so many levels. Anyway, I am interrupting you, per usual. Back to your regularly scheduled pilgramming.
Pilgramming? Is
pill grabbing. It's a pro-opiate show. So if you're anti no alternate pain medication. No, I'm just kidding. Edit this out. We're going down a dangerous path.
So anyways, back to our regular scheduled financial podcast. I was in the Tesla stock program. 7% of my paychecks for 6 months were going into the stocks. I was kind of hoping the stock would tank the day that we were buying so that I would get it at a lower rate. Didn't happen. The stocks were bought at $286 a share, and they only buy full shares. And I had enough for 3 shares and $284. I was literally pennies short of having a 4th share. So I only got 3. And then the next week, the stock market tanked and Tesla's stock went down $100 a share. So I quote unquote lost $300 in the stock market immediately. It's not quite as entertaining as your story of losing all in transaction fees.
That's right. Apparently. Yeah. I don't know if we can direct people to the Maybe we'll put it in the show notes, the episode where, I put in the minimum $50 to open an account on TD Ameritrade and lost 35 of it within an hour and a half. I don't even think I made it to 90 minutes. It was like, I read some blog that was like, maybe Hanes underwear will at least keep its value this year. And I bought one of them. It's like, I got a stock. Mission accomplished.
I have an asset.
Yeah, I have what you might want to refer to as an asset. An asset? Is that what it is? Asset? Anyway, it's in my portfolio. I'm sure you're aware. But the actual stock itself was only like $7, and the transaction fee was like $6. And as soon as I bought it, and I'm just telling the story over again at this point. And, but it's like, damn, this stock's gonna have to go up like kind of a lot for me to even break even. Like, there's got to be. I think I'm misinterpreting much of this process. A lot of, I think you could say that I grew up on, learned from the school of hard knocks with those $35 in my underwear on the couch with my smartphone on the TD Ameritrade app. Oh, man. Anywho.
But not to worry because I accidentally invested, I think, $75 into our 401k program, so I'm going to be good for at least a couple years with that.
At least between the ages of 70 and 90. I think as soon as you put any money into a 401k, you're just good. Like,
right, I think, yeah. It's enough to live on for a little bit.
Keep your head up, get your bread up, as they say.
But for real, I think it's just like $100 in a 401k. I was like automatically enrolled when the new year started. I was kind of upset about it because I really needed the money. So I resentfully have a 401k.
Why? Why are you resentful?
Because I needed that money. I mean, I guess I'm fine now. I've been doing so much side work, but
well, even a little bit now, Tom, can go a long way later.
Yeah, it could be like $120 in 60 years.
That's my other. That was before I found out Zach Braff was on Shepard's podcast. Adam Ruins Everything is like a funny show on True TV. And he has a podcast version of the show. And this week he had a good episode on 401ks and kind of how it shifted from pensions to, I guess, the thought behind the shift. And I'm going to butcher this. Please listen to it. And that's my other recommendation for another podcast for you all to listen to other than this one. I'm really good at this. Basically, they were saying they were allowing people to be responsible for their own wealth and savings and stuff. You can't ask a 21-year-old to be like, a little bit now goes along. I don't know. Anyway, there's a lot of arguments here and there, and I'm not going to get into it, mostly because I don't understand how to explain it well. But it was pretty eye-opening, the switch from pensions offered to people, at big companies, if they wanted their one person to do this, they wanted to focus on him doing that well, not also half-mindedly saving until he was done doing it,
Sure.
But then that shifted to people being responsible for themselves and things like that. Yeah, it's kind of scary how, there's those like tongue-in-cheek E-Trade commercials now of like, I'm tired and I want to go home, like a cheeky song, but it's like all these old people getting part-time jobs to like be alive. And it's like, oh, wouldn't it be great if I wasn't dying? It's like a weird state of affairs to be sure. So anyway.
Wait, that's an Ameritrade commercial?
It is a E-Trade commercial, I think.
Oh, on what platform? Like cable?
I was watching it on, I think it's on some of the Roku apps. I think maybe ESPN or something, but it's like, they're just kind of jokingly like, there's like these 89-year-old lifeguards like, oh, I shouldn't need to do this job. And like, they're like, it's tongue in cheek, but it's also like, well, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. It's just like, learn how to trade now and save, Anyway, the Adam Ruins Everything episode is pretty eye-opening about like how it never used to be like this. And now that it is, there's a few simple steps you can take to, I guess, start at least shaping what you want your, savings. They say to diversify and all that stuff. And those seems like douchey words like, oh, I got to diversify. But, there's some simple steps you can take to, I guess, start saving in different ways to ensure you're in an all right position later on. And when you mentioned 401k in the planning for this show, my mind kind of went there because I was actually listening to that show at the time. Huh. But I'm happy for you that you put $70 towards a 401k, Tom. And you own stock. That's called diversification in the motherfucking nation.
I was editing a podcast today. It's about being an entrepreneur with focus on passive income. And they were talking about real estate and selling wholesale real estate. And my God, I don't have the time for it now, but I feel like in the next 5 years, why not try to get into real estate? Like, it sounds so weird to like hear that come out of my mouth.
Right.
But damn, that would be just so nice. I mean, you have to have the education and know what the hell you're doing and be able to sell, but there's guys who are making 10 grand in like a week.
Yeah, I think there's a good amount of pros, but a good amount of cons also. I mean, especially if you're trying it for the first
things.
Well, like also as with most things, you're not going to, practice makes perfect, I guess.
Right.
But, that I watched a guy when I lived in New Mexico. He rented a room to me who was trying to flip a house on his own. And he ended up just kind of staying there, which is probably his plan all along. But he kept talking about like he was flipping it. But I mean, he was having me cut the tile, and I've never done that. And I pick up things pretty quick, and I was okay at it. But this saw was something he just kind of got from like a yard sale. And like how some shopping carts kind of drift in a certain direction? Like the saw just kind of couldn't cut straight after a certain distance. So I'm trying to like make the best straight line I can on a first time tile cutting job. And it's a wet saw, so it's just like spewing soot-filled dirty water into my face, and all like I wore like a white undershirt. I was like not expecting what to do. It just dyed it like bright red because of the tile. Anyway, he was worse at laying the tile than I was at cutting it. So you would stub your toe frequently, just like going anywhere in the home. And he put tile on every floor of every room. And I was like, this feels like a bad hospital or something. So I think it's
what.
And he was just like going with the flow, going with what his gut told him. Nothing wrong with it, right? Like he bought the house, he can do whatever he wants. But I'm like, would occasionally be like, are you trying to resell it? Because it feels like this is a fun house. Like this feels like a joke. Like, are you secretly wealthy and just fucking with all of us? Like this feels like like something for your own amusement. But anyway, it can go wrong, I guess. Like, of course, not everybody knows exactly what to do for resale value and things like that. I guess there are certain colors you can paint rooms that like up the value of the home and stuff. So anyway, you are not a guy that shorts on hours of self-taught material. So I wish you the best if you do go on that road, because it does seem appealing. It seems like there's got to be something, right? Because there's a lot of, I don't know, cheap houses out there.
Not in Denver, but...
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, you're screwed. I wouldn't even stay.
Wait, why the fuck were you cutting tile for someone else? Did he pay you?
In cheap rent. I was living in a cookie cutter apartment in the Northeast Heights of Albuquerque, and I met a friend through my sister's old somebody who used to go to college with my sister for a semester before she transferred from Case Western to Gannon. Anyway, he had a friend he met through a college in New Mexico, and he was like, yeah, he's flipping the house, and rent's only going to be like $400 flat, and you just have to cut tile every other Saturday. And
it's not bad.
It was honestly a nice deal. $400 flat, like not even considering no considerations of bills or anything like that.
Wow.
It was kind of nice. Although I'm an asthmatic, I guess, as we probably might have touched on the show. So there was like not just tile particles, but particles from almost every activity that was happening in that house. And he's like, hey, guys, we finally got the new vents installed. And he turned them on. And my asthma has never been worse. Like just sleeping, just inhaling like probably maybe upwards of like 13% material air, like just putting your mouth on asbestos and just sucking it down. There's actually a horrifying story of, I was in between doctors and I had a certain amount of inhalers with me before I moved there. And I was down to my last one and I was like, okay, it has a little number that rotates on it, on the inhaler.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm down to 80. Pfft, this is nothing. Down to 30. I'll talk to a doctor. Nothing wrong with it. I got down to 11. I'm like, I should. I'm like, and I'm thinking I'm invincible, right? Because I'm young and stupid. But this is like a year and a half ago. It got down to like this red part and there was still some puffs. I'm like, I gotta do it. Anyway, I had left my backup one at Jesse's because we were dating at the time, and she still lived in the Heights near where I first lived. It was about a 1.5 mile drive away. And I woke up in the middle of the night when I was breathing this crazy particle air. And again, I didn't realize till after the fact what had been happening. I got to the doctor's 2 weeks later. He's like, yeah, what's your living situation like? I'm like, it's a construction zone, I guess. It could be best described as a construction zone. So Definitely the worst possible. If I had to describe it in a word, it would be most detrimental to my health actively. But I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, we live near a hospital. I was like, I don't think I can afford a hospital bill right now. So I was like, I know, but if I can get to where my backup inhaler is,
Oh my God.
and it's within these city limits, if I get there, I can puff and be good. And so I didn't have time to start a GoFundMe, obviously. It was a dire situation. So I started driving, but I'm still trying to be polite, even though my breathing is like the smaller and smaller straws. You know, I don't know if you've ever watched the Arthur episode where Buster defines asthma, but it's so spot on. Anyway,
You're talking to an asthmatic, so
right. No, but basically in the show, he's just like, yeah, your throat tries to close up to keep the bad stuff from getting in, but really it's also keeping you from breathing. So anyway, that's the disorder, right? I guess according to Buster Baxter, that could be wrong. That should have been a thing in our episode last week where we talked about stuff we just believe. I'm like, it was like part of an Arthur episode that I've based most of my medical knowledge on. But so I'm with. I pull out onto Wyoming, take a left when you're only supposed to take a right, and it's a really dangerous left turn with like barriers. And it's like a 6-lane. They have 3 lanes on most of the main streets in Albuquerque. I don't really know why, but it definitely opens up the flow of traffic. Anyway, I'm zipping down, but I'm still feeling polite. Like, should I run the red light? It's like, yeah, man, you're fucking dying like now, currently. But I still kind of slowed and took like a rolling right on red. And I was like, there's something wrong with you. Like, you can't even be selfish right when your airways are closing. It's like, I don't know. It's like weird Catholic guilt. Anyway, I zip up to the heights and I park and I sprint over to Jesse's place. And I think she had given me a key at this point. And from Jesse's perspective, this is what she heard. Just someone bursting through the door and immediately start rifling through the drawers in her kitchen. Just scared the living shit out of her. And she's just like, it goes on for a few minutes. And again, I'm like, I'll explain later. I'm, dying, right? Like my airway closes. That's, I never got that far. Like, I'm easily the farthest I've gone in this like drill. Like as a kid, you're like, oh, cool. Thanks, Mom. I puffed. I'm good now. But this is easily the farthest I've tested it. Like, it's getting down there. You picture a space show where they're like, oxygen, critical low. Beep, beep, beep. That's what my head's like. Anyway, I open the drawer. I find the puffer and I puff like until I can't anymore. You know what I mean? Just like sending the medicine into whatever opening in my throat I have left. And Jesse's just like, bad, just like so, like just petrified. I probably still owe her I owe her more than for just that, but that was the worst thing I've ever done to anybody. Was just barge in their apartment at 2 a.m. and start rifling through drawers. It was just, and there are many holes to poke through that story. Clark was like, yeah, do you mind if we go back to the part where you live across the street from a hospital? Like, that was an hour ago, super an option. And I was like, yeah, hey, no, I'm not perfect. I don't think that's a fair criticism. Meanwhile, I took probably like a whole year off Jesse's life just from stress related to that evening. But anyway, I've never told you that story before. It's a pretty good story. Anyway, I forget how we got onto it.
That's awesome.
But, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, that's the story about, right, so flipping houses is tough. It's the because you never really know what to do sometimes.
I've been rolling without an inhaler for like 3 years, and there's been at least 3 times where I thought it was going to be the end.
Yours is athletically induced, right? We've talked about this.
Right. It's athletic, but it happened at the boxing gym, and it happened on 2 separate hikes. So
Right. You should exercise less, which is what is rare advice.
And I mean, I have health insurance. An inhaler would be essentially free, like sleeping on it, man.
Yeah, I think the rescue inhalers are like $40, and the disc ones are where they get you, the ones that are preventative.
Right.
Like, so if I know I'm going to a family's house for Christmas that has pet dander that's going to get me, or dust, or a moldy basement, those purple discs ones that I think Advair, I forget, but you take that before you go, and it's a steroid that keeps the throat open for 12 hours or something. Those ones are expensive. They're like $200 with insurance. It's fucking crazy.
Hell.
I know. But I was home for Christmas 2 years ago, and they have a new dog who has a different type of dander than my childhood dog. And just being there for like 4 days, like that last night I woke up and drove back to Cleveland just to get away from the dander. On like Christmas morning, my mom was like crying. She was like, why? I'm like, because I don't know. Like, I don't want to. I just have to. Like, she was like, damn this dog. I was like, it's like a bad, I don't know. It was a bad scene. Anyway,
Bummer.
Enough about different types of either preventative or emergency inhalers. We've probably talked about it for long enough. Do you want to go to the mailbag, my good man?
Yeah, let's do it.
Or did you want to talk about switching out your transmission, speaking of you being super adult-like lately?
Oh, yeah. About a year ago, I took my car in for something, and they were like, hey, man, you need a transmission flush like today along with a brake flush and power steering flush. And I was like, yeah, I'll get to it. And it's been like a year. And they were like, dude, this is already like a year overdue.
Right.
So my car...
And that adds up, man.
Oh, my car's having a hard time switching out of third gear, which is
you drive
not
a
something
stick?
you want. No, it has like this sports mode where you can, there's no clutch, but you can manually switch gears. So if I'm getting like really high RPMs on the third gear, I can put it into fourth, which is almost every time I'm going from third to fourth. So a friend of mine was like, or a coworker, he was like, yeah, maybe you should check out a transmission flush. You know, it sounds like something's going on. So my buddy Tom, who I work with, had some tools, and I was going to try to save like $100 by doing it myself. Essentially, you have to drain like the whole thing, like going way beyond what they normally do at a shop. So I was going to try to save some money. Got like $110 of transmission fluid and spent like 5 hours trying to do this thing. Totally ruined this dude Tom's driveway because in order to get like the full flush, you have to like take out one of the low pressure hoses.
Yeah,
and then,
no doy.
Right.
No, just kidding.
And then you have to like drain what's coming out of this spout into a bucket. And I put it on the wrong section. So when he turned the car on, it just started, blasting burnt transmission fluid all over his driveway. Like totally ruined the concrete, dude.
Like a weird Brady Bunch episode where everyone's just like, oh, come on. Oh, no, don't get mad. Let's learn from this.
Like it was like a cartoon where I'm like standing there with my head down waiting for it to come gently out of this tube, and it just comes blasting like right. You know?
Right. Or like you're wearing goggles and it sprays, and then you look at each other like after a deep exhale, and you move the glasses, and there's a perfect outline of the clean spot on your face. It was like
almost that for sure. So basically I ended up saving about $40, and it took like 5 hours, and it's been super stressful. So I don't know if I actually won on that situation, but I think it's fair to say I'm a motor boy now.
Ooh.
You can add that to Sleepy Boy.
And Finance Boy?
Finance Boy.
Whoa, easy Motor Boy. Put it back in the first. Ooh wee. Oh man. You want to mailbag it up?
Let's do it.
Okay. And again, to everyone who asks us repeatedly to stop doing this segment, we'll stop reading them when you stop writing
sending them to us.
That's right. Okay. This is Sarah in Parma Heights, Ohio. Just repeating internet stuff to us. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Ooh.
We're about 8 months late to this party, but I figure we should touch on it.
I've never heard that question before.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So Sarah is curious. I think that from what I've seen is, the two pieces of bread touch. So it's, you could argue it's one piece of bread. Okay. I mean, if you honestly went online right now and just Googled it, there's plenty of probably too much material on this particular topic. What does your gut say?
I mean, if a piece of turkey between bread is a sandwich.
The popular opinion seems to be no.
Oh, wow.
Or like the trendy, like, oh, no way, it's its own thing. But I would argue that, like, one, who gives a shit, and two, yes, it is a sandwich. Move on. Like, let's move on. It's meat and bread. Like, I don't know. sometimes the internet is so beautiful and like you can communicate with others, but other times it's like, man, I am still seeing years later tweets about whether or not hot dogs are sandwiches. But I was curious. I know I feel that it is a sandwich. What do you think? Because it is its own unique thing to a certain degree.
I feel like my heart is saying yes, and my head is saying no.
I think that's a good enough answer for me. Shall we move on?
You know what? Let me rephrase that. Let me rephrase that. I think my head is saying no, but my heart is saying yes.
Yes. Okay.
Does that make more sense?
I don't know, but I like that you're thinking this hard about it, and that's, I think, what Sarah probably hoped for too. Thank you for the question, Sarah. This one comes from Gregory in Grove City, Pennsylvania. Is pop punk dead?
No, you.
Okay, moving on. This comes from Kevin in Quincy, Massachusetts. How many licks to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Thanks for listening and sending us that stupid question, Kevin.
69.
Whoa. Moving on.
No, actually.
Thanks for whispering that.
Have you, sorry, this is not episode, the one before 70.
That's right.
Have you ever tried?
No. As a kid, I thought I would have tried by now, but I haven't, so. Well, the smarmy owl, he was like,
Right.
1, 2, 3. I have a beak. You dumb I could have done it at 1. You know, it's like, oh, we're made different. My lips are soft.
I think that's my next Facebook Live.
Sure. It. Go to the audio forum. Scream it off the rooftops. Thanks, Internet. This one comes from... yeah, so in the show notes, we'll post a link to Tom's Facebook Live. Tiffany in Youngstown, Ohio. Is there going to be any reminiscent stuff going forward or eventually all just awful bits? Also, Tom, can I get any nudes? That's the second week in a row where a mailbag writer has asked you for explicit photos, but...
I'm going to give answers in no specific order.
Okay.
No and yes.
Ooh. It's not helpful, but I love your playful attitude about it.
Figure out which one is which.
Okay.
What do they mean reminiscent, like us actually reminiscing? Do you think?
I think that's what, because I would say the show's a little different. Like it goes in probably waves of 2 or 3 months at a time. I'd say the first month was the most purely reminiscent, and then once we started to like cross some stuff off, we ventured into bit land a little bit, and we've acquired a core group of listeners who have stuck with us. So as always, feel free to tweet us at _reminiscentfm with just about anything that's on your mind. Now, this one, I think we can probably close the show out with this. Or do you have a song of the week?
John. I do, yeah.
Okay. Lay it on me.
I wanted to give you... So I was in a Sprouts at a grocery store around here. It's all like organic, whatever.
Sure.
First of all, I just wanted to say, switching grocery stores is not the best plan if you're about to do a big grocery run. We got like halfway through and got stressed out and just checked out because like we didn't know where things were and it was all different products. So
yeah, it's an ordeal.
We're shopping. We're in the soup section. Big fan of soup. And
do you have Smith's out there? Like what's your version of Kroger or Giant Eagle?
We have Kroger and it's called King Soopers.
Okay. Because there's Smith's in Albuquerque when I was there, and that was Kroger's, just different. But it's called King Soopers there?
King Soopers. It's Soopers. Very, very trendy. Yeah.
Oh.
So we're in the soup aisle, and I hear this song. They're playing some really good jams. They played like some Vertical Horizon. I think they had some Oasis. And the song came on. Recognized the voice, but absolutely cannot think of the artist. And I Googled it, just found some of the words. And the song was called The Way I Tend to Be by Frank Turner. And Frank Turner was like the favorite artist of my friend Eli, who I was in a band with. He listened to him a bunch. And back then, like 3 years ago, I was 23, 24. And all I cared about was pop punk, everything. Pop punk. No, it's not dead. Fucking whoever you were. I already forgot your name because you don't matter.
Kevin from Grove City.
Dead.
No,
Kevin.
Just kidding. Gregory. No, not even Gregory. Gregor. His name is Gregor.
Gregor. But yeah, anyway, so I heard the song and I was like, damn, like I didn't appreciate the song back when all I could think about was pop punk, but I have had the song on repeat for like 3 days now.
Okay.
And it's just, oh man, it's so good. I hit up Zach to see if he still had his mandolin because I wanted to record a cover of it with him. But according to him, he sold that back in 2013.
He still might have a Yamaha acoustic of mine. I'm not sure.
We all have each other's instruments.
Yeah. Well, I don't have one, but I did used to have a Yamaha acoustic somewhere.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Anyway.
Well,
cool.
anyways,
I'll check it out.
I think you would have a good chance of liking this song. Pretty mellow.
Cool. I'm into it.
And again, for listeners, elemental.fm/reminiscence/71. If you're in Apple Podcasts, you can just click that episode webpage button. It'll take you right there. Good song. Highly recommend it. 100 times over.
Excellent. And for the hangers on, we're trying one last new bit. Is that all right?
Are we?
You want it?
Oh, yeah.
Ooh,
okay.
Yes. So this is an improvised movie trailer, and we have 3 prompts, and we're going to try to improvise a movie trailer. As the title says it all. Are you ready for this? Do you want to try this week?
Yeah.
And you edited together the original Ron Carnage trailer, so you know what I'm talking about there, right?
And I'll do it with all my free time. No worries.
No, you don't have to edit these together. I'm saying, because when I first brought this up, you said, I guess we'll have to buy new music for it. I was like, no. I feel like every time I have a new idea, you were like, I guess we could spend this money. I'm like, no. No, there's no money. It's just us talking, which is the show. Anyway.
Corey is a businessman with a flair for the romantic. But what's a young bachelor in the city to do when he wakes up a goat from the waist down?
Here's some money for a cab. I think you gotta get out of here. I can't explain. I'll explain later. I really liked you. Oh gosh. Oh golly. I gotta go to work. Oh, I'm late. Kevin, get out of here. Kevin, played by Jim Gaffigan. I thought these donuts were a few days old, but they're still kind of good. Like, oh man, now's not the time. I'm a goat from the waist down, man. Wait. Can we put goat cheese on the things we make more? I like to eat. I'm Jim Gaffigan. When he gets to work, things aren't any easier, and his boss is played by Kevin Pollak. No, that's a bad one. His boss is played by... Let's start over.
See, okay, not only am I don't feel like I'm good at it, I also don't like doing it. Like the improvising.
Thanks to Matt and Julie and Amanda and Caitlin and the gang for
Dak
joining us
Shepard.
again. Dak Shepard, Zach Braff, shout out to how similar you guys look. Big fan of your work, and I don't say that ironically. I mean that. And yeah, good luck saving for your futures because pensions are gone. Yeah, no, just kidding. Anyway, Tom, I love you, and it's been a really fun 70 episodes. We're already en route to 80, 90. We'll get our 10,000 hours in, and hopefully it'll be moderately better at that point. So, yeah, have a good week, my good man.
All right, man. Love you too, dude. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.
Trevor is a shy Catholic mailman who still lives with his parents. Things changed in a way he couldn't have anticipated when he found out that there was more books in the world other than the Quran and the Hop on Pop.